guys, it's Kristen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a very casual sit-down video, just chatting with you guys, doing a kind of physical therapy school update slash end of semester 2 reflection, because if you're new here on my channel, you probably won't know this, but I just finished up my second semester in a Doctorate of Physical Therapy program at Mercer University, located in Atlanta, Georgia. And I finished finals about a week ago now, and it is currently a Wednesday, and my summer classes start on Monday, so I really didn't have very much of a break at all. But if you watch my videos, you know that this is my bedroom in my parents' house in Pennsylvania. So I've just been home for the past week, just kind of spending time with some high school friends and some family. I got my hair done, if you can tell. I really love it. But yeah, today I'm just going to be chatting with you guys about the semester and how it went and any tips and advice that I have for you guys. Before I get into talking about how the semester went, I just quickly wanted to give a little overview of what summer is going to look like for me, because I have been getting a lot of questions recently from you guys asking if I have summer classes, if I have a full-time clinical this summer, because I know every program does things a little bit differently. So my program saves all of our full-time clinicals till the end of our program. So it is an 8-semester program. The first 5 semesters are all didactic, meaning we are primarily doing classwork, but we do have these like short-term integrated experiences throughout those 5 semesters. So like last semester when I'd be vlogging, when I had clinicals in the hospital, from 8 to 5, like 4 or 5 times, that was a short-term experience. So I won't have a full-time experience until this time next year. So next summer is when my first 12-week-long clinical will be, and then I'll have one in that summer, that fall, and then that spring, and then I'll graduate. So basically that was a long-winded way of saying I'm about to start my 3rd didactic semester out of 5, which is so crazy to me. Like, I'm pretty much halfway done the like academic portion of school, so this semester I am taking a full course load. It is only 16 credit hours, and the past 2 semesters I've been in about 20, so it is a little bit less credit hours. And the classes that I'm taking are, I have my laptop here, let me look quick. I'm taking movement science, research 2, management of patients with integumentary conditions, clinical exam and interventions 2, service learning 2, psychosocial differential diagnosis. So yeah, a bunch of classes, and it's kind of weird because I think we have some of them for the whole summer, like the whole 17 weeks from May through August, and then some of them like we only have for half the time, and then other ones take over. So it is a little bit tricky, but everyone says these classes are super interesting and not nearly as challenging as the classes we had the past 2 semesters, so it should be a fun summer. So now on to talking about how semester 2 went. And in my program, semester 2 is notorious for being like the hardest semester in the program, and I thought that was just for my school, but I do follow a good bit of other like YouTubers and Instagrammers that are in physical therapy school, and I've heard other people saying also that their second semester is their hardest as well. So maybe it's a thing everywhere, don't quote me on that. But basically it was a lot of like the second class that we had from first semester. So I was in gross anatomy 2 and applied anatomy 2, management of patients with cardiopulmonary conditions, clinical exam and interventions 1, foundations of musculoskeletal neuroscience, and then my first clinical experience. So just based off the names of those classes, you can tell that they're all very like anatomy heavy, science heavy courses. So I kind of knew it was going to be a tough semester, but I didn't really know how tough. It was different. First semester was also very tricky, but that was more so not like, it was academically hard, but the challenge in it was more adjusting to PT school, adjusting to having that many exams, adjusting to being in class for the whole entire day, adjusting to like patient case-based exams. This is more tricky in the pure content. Like at this point we are all pretty adjusted to the PT school lifestyle and we know how we study and function, but now this is just like content overload. And looking back, I learned a lot last semester too, but when I look at like the student and the person, not to be dramatic, and the physical therapist that I was in January, and then I look at where I am now, like I am in shock. For our applied anatomy 2 final competency, we had to do an entire evaluation on a patient. So the faculty were our patients, and they would just be like, my ankle hurts, like here's what happened, and then we'd have to do a whole like eval as if you were in clinical doing an eval, and then you have to give your diagnosis. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the semester that I'd be doing that and doing it confidently by the end of the semester, I would just be in shock. So I think that just goes to show you that it is going to be hard, but it is going to be worth it. And I always think of the quote, without struggle, there is no growth. And that is so true. Like all these hours of studying, I finally am starting to see payoff in a way that is more than just a certain written grade on an exam. It's starting to pay off in my patient interaction skills. I got really positive feedback from my clinical instructor during my clinical experience. I got positive feedback for all of my final competencies. So that was just such a good feeling to see that growth and finally feel like I'm kind of coming into myself as a physical therapist, because my first semester, my applied anatomy 1 class was the only class we had competencies in, and they were very, very basic competencies. They would say beyond like the hip, knee, and ankle, and they'd be like, all right, show range of motion or manual muscle test of XYZ, very straightforward. But this semester, we had competencies for almost every single class. We had one for neuroscience, in which we had to do an entire neurological exam of like the cranial nerves, sensory system, motor system. For my foundations and musculoskeletal class, we had to do a whole modalities competency where we were given a case and we had to say which modality was best and explain how to use it, and then use it on the patient as if you were treating a patient in the clinic. I just told you guys about my final applied anatomy competency with the whole patient case. And then for my exam and interventions class, which is kind of like the acute care physical therapy class, teaching you pretty much all the skills you would do in an inpatient setting. For that final competency, we were also given a little case of like, your patient has been in the hospital for 3 days, they had hip surgery, and now you need to get them up out of the bed and do a gait training session. So you had to go in, you had to take a history, you had to take vitals, you had to roll them up to a seat in the proper way, you had to stand them up with the proper assistive device, you had to guard them with the gait belt, transfer them into the wheelchair, get them up from the wheelchair, and it was very, very stressful prepping for all these competencies, but looking back, I just feel so proud of myself. And at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? This is so much. I'm not ready for this. But I think really being pushed out of my comfort zone in that way really has made me grow as a physical therapy student. And towards the end of the semester, I feel like I was finally feeling less like a student and more capable. So that's really good. And if you watch my week in my life vlogs, you probably know this, but because I've said it in a lot of my vlogs, but we had at least one exam every week since the 3rd week of classes in January. And again, during it, it was very mentally draining. I have never felt more burnt out than I did right around midterms. I talked about it in a vlog a little bit. I'll link it above if you want to listen to that, but I was just feeling so burnt out and like I had to be on 100% of the time. And in my head, I just had a lot of negative thoughts and was like, oh my gosh, I won't be able to relax till May. It is currently February. And that is just not the way to be thinking about it. You really just need to reframe your mindset and not think of it as I have to do these things, but I get to do these things because there are so many people out there that want to be in your shoes, that are trying to get into physical therapy school, that maybe don't have the opportunity to go to PT school for financial reasons or whatever it is. There's so many people out there that want to be your shoes, so you really just have to be grateful for the opportunity to be stressed over something that you truly do love and that is going to lead you to a career and a lifetime of happiness, not to be dramatic, but I think just that mindset shift is really great. And also, finding time every day for yourself. I know that is so cliche, but if you just think you have to go, go, go and can't rest from February to May, like I was saying, you will not make it through. You need to say, okay, I'm going to study really hard for 4 hours and then I'm going to do something fun, or then I'm going to go to sleep early and do a face mask. Just finding joy in every day, again, not to be dramatic or deep, that is what it's all about. And the second I started allowing myself to have that grace to study, even if it's for 20 minutes, like ending studying 20 minutes early than I anticipated, just allowing yourself to make time for yourself and make time for the things that you love to do, like YouTube. So many people say to me, how do you have time to have a YouTube channel? Like, that would stress me out so bad. But I love doing it and I love producing this content for you guys. And for me, it's just kind of a way for me to take a step back and be like, wow, I have so many followers that want to be in physical therapy school. They want to be in my shoes, and I owe it to them to put my best foot forward and just to be a good role model for all of you guys. So I hope you feel that in my videos, because that is really what I'm trying to do here on my channel. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was my clinical experience last semester. So I was in the acute care setting in a hospital. If you don't know what that is, basically it's primarily working with patients who had some sort of surgery, and you're getting them up out of bed, usually for the first time in a while. Sometimes it is they had surgery that day, but a lot of the patients we saw, they had not gotten out of bed for like a few days. So I would get there at 8 a.m., meet my clinical instructor, and she would be doing a chart review at that time for about an hour. So I would sit with her and we would do a whole chart review, and she would kind of explain the patients to me a little bit. If she had seen them before, she would kind of give me an update on how they're doing, or if it was a new patient, we would go through it together and look at the chart and just gather what was important. And she would kind of ask me, like, what do you feel comfortable doing with this patient? And every time I went, I would go in with this little form from my school that said, like, all the skills I was competent in. So, like, if we had a competency transferring patients from the bed to the wheelchair, it would say, like, Kristen can now transfer a patient from the bed to the wheelchair, for example. And we did go 5 times, like I said, and it was on a rotation. So it was about like every 4 weeks or so. And it was just incredible to see the growth every single time we went. The first time I went was like the second or third week of classes, and literally, I'm not kidding, all we had learned to do was put a gait belt on someone, like how to put it on, not even how to hold it or walk or anything. Because my exam and interventions class is the class that we primarily learned all these skills in, and that was this semester as well. So the first day, I kind of was more of like a shadower, similar to what I had done in high school and college, and then when I went back 4 weeks later, I knew a little bit more, and I was able to like take a history and help someone stand up holding the gait belt. So that was a huge step for me. It was like the first time I'd ever like laid hands on an actual patient. The next time I was there, I did a whole like bed mobility screen, so kind of determining their strength while they're still laying in bed to see which transfer is best for them. And then by the last time, I was doing pretty much everything. So just being able to see that growth from January to May, again, it just kind of made me feel like all my hard work was paying off, and I'm really going to miss having clinical. We don't have a clinical this summer. We have something called service learning, so I will be working with adults that have Parkinson's disease, and they have like this like boxing class, and we go and help like guard the participants, guarding them on the gait belt in case they fall. And then in the fall, I'll have another short-term clinical where I go like 5 times, but that will be in an outpatient setting. So I really like the setup and how my school kind of splits it up like that, because it allows us to have some patient interaction during our coursework, but also they're saving the long-term experiences till the end. So next May, when I have my first full-time clinical, I'll know like what I'm doing. I'll have taken all the classes I'm going to take. I will have learned all the skills I'm going to learn. And now it's just practicing on patients for 36 weeks. And I think I should find out in the coming weeks or months where I'll be next summer and next fall. So that is 2022. Not this summer and fall, next summer and fall. Because we did rank our sites for it, but we haven't heard back yet. And I'm hoping to be in Pennsylvania for one of them, and then the other ones I'm hoping to do in Atlanta, just for like lease reasons. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. So I think that's everything that I wanted to say to you guys. Overall, this semester was super hard and super taxing, but we learned so much, and I'm just so proud of myself for making it through and surviving, and just finally like having some confidence and growing into myself as a physical therapist has been super exciting. So I'm just excited for the next 3 semesters of coursework to kind of hopefully continue on this positive note. And I can't wait to see where the rest of this journey takes me. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope it helped you in any way at all. If you have any questions or any tips, advice, anything, please leave me a comment down below. I reply to every single comment, and I would love to chat with you guys. And if you are starting school this coming May, best of luck to you. I'm so excited for you. You're gonna do great. So I will talk to you guys in my next video next week. Bye, friends.